Hey, are you concerned with web browser user agent security risks? Have you heard of browser AI agents? In this video, I'm going to discuss how to avoid web browser AI agent security risks. And now this comes from squarex.com, sqrx.com. They have a solution which I'm not a fan of. They provide a service. But first, let me define what we're dealing with. You're dealing with automated artificial intelligence web browser extensions. Plugins, extension, basically the same thing. The problem with them, and I'm not surprised, computer technology has never been secure. Computer technology is not secure now, and chances are computer technology will never be secure. The OSI model, the transmission control protocol, internet protocol, the hypertext transfer protocol, the hypertext markup language, it just goes on and on. Their solution is another extension that you would install. Here's my solution. I'll cut to the chase and I'll tell you how to avoid web browser AI agent security risks. Do not use them. Do not use them at all. If you're thinking about using them, you want to study them and figure out how they're programmed. What are they coded in? What kind of access to your web browser do they require or request or have? There is a potential, it could be fear-mongering, I'm not sure. It's Google Chrome and what was another web browser? I believe it was Google Chrome and possibly another web browser where these artificial intelligence agents, what they are is they're automated. What it does is allows even employees. This is very common in corporate America. This is very toxic. I will never work in corporate America again unless I absolutely had to, but at one time I did in information technology. It was just toxic and wretched and horrible, and I basically quit, you know what I mean? Anyways, that's not 100% true, but anyways. These corporate environments, they love to automate. Now, the capitalists gone wild will love these agents because they're automated. They may actually, potentially they could replace employees when you really think about it, because they live in a web browser. Or you could reduce the workforce a little bit, whatever. What happens is that instead of normal tasks that a human would perform, such as browsing a website, filling out a form, clicking on a link, watching a video, whatever those tasks that are required, you can use artificial intelligence now to perform those tasks. However, there's one big problem. Problemo. Gargantuan. Well, they're security risks. They're terrible. They're horrible. You know what's happening? You're susceptible to phishing. Not just that. Think about it. Any kind of exploit that can use a web browser. Web browsers have been notoriously a security risk from the very beginning. All you have to do is study them. They are. You know why? Because they have access to your local computer. That's why. So they're always a security risk. But when you have an automated, even if it's not artificial intelligence, do not use them. I never give advice. I never guarantee anything. I never recommend anything. That's my tip. My tip is to avoid the potential. You could get phished. You could have credit card information taken from you. You could have email address taken from you. Then you may receive a bunch of spam, and even worse. You know what I'm saying? People could gain access potentially to your hard drive data. It looks right. Look what it says. Browser artificial intelligent agents, the new quote weakest link unquote, that can feed your credentials, meaning login credentials, username and passwords, and data to, you have to tread carefully on We Censor You too, because they do censor and they hate free speech, and I know they have a word list, and that may or may not be on the list, but when in doubt, as a YouTube content creator, you try to think of a different word. You know what I'm saying? This is insanity, and a high percentage of companies now are beginning to use these agents. But they're insane. I don't understand it. Don't they study? Don't they realize how insecure computers are? When Now, whose brilliant idea was it to, oh yeah, we'll just automate things and we'll use artificial intelligence agents and we won't even worry about the security, because think about it. Web browser extensions and plugins are software. Software is just computer code. It's just computer programming. Web browsers are notoriously insecure, right? The hypertext transfer protocol and hypertext markup language, and you throw in JavaScript, blah, blah. It just goes on and on. Why would, I don't understand this. It's like they don't even care about, it's the capitalist gone wild perhaps. They do not care about security. And you as an employee, what happens if you're using one of these agents and you're surfing the internet, like a great example in this article, I think it was this one, was just ordering groceries. Well, but when you conduct commerce on the internet using a web browser, well, most times you have to enter payment information, which could be a credit card or even, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is just insanity. Okay, so I'm going to discuss more. What are browser artificial intelligence agents? Okay, they are pieces of software that can interact with the World Wide Web and then perform actions on the user's behalf, which I already described that, but they're automated. Okay, OpenAI has one called Operator. Claude has one called Computer Use. What else? There's another one called Browser Use. Okay, there's some on GitHub. They allow end users to automate a variety of tasks that may require multiple steps from the internet. Anywhere from scheduling meetings all the way to managing email inboxes and even booking flights and even performing research on the internet. But they're not secure. Yeah, let's not discuss large language models because that's very technical, but these, okay, I defined it at the beginning. It's really simple. They're just extensions and plugins, which is software that is coded in a certain language that you install in the web browser. That's what they are. You don't install them on your desktop computer into the operating system. They're embedded into the web browser. That's why they could be a security risk, and it looks like they probably are. All right. Here's a history of them, and okay. Now this comes from SquareX.com. You could still, and I highlighted the Uniform Resource Locator on screen. You could just type that into the address bar of your preferred web browser, and you can't make mistakes, and it's, the numbers and then the dashes, and yeah, okay. Just, you could look for it, you know what I mean? Okay, you can pause the video and type that in. Alright, I'm already at the 8-minute mark. I'm on fire because of this one. This is just absurd. This is just insanity that these companies are even thinking about deploying these automated pieces of software and they didn't take any security precautions. It's almost like they didn't even think about security. Okay? Alright. Yeah, embedding deceptive instructions. What else could happen? You could get phished. Okay? And then exploiting the web browser agents. All right? Yeah. So what happens is that these pieces of software are acting on your behalf, and therefore you could probably walk away and let them perform their tasks, and then come back after you grabbed a cup of coffee in an office, and then you come back and oops, oh, somebody obtained your credit card information. Okay, yeah, they're automated. They do not respond to common warning signs such as suspicious uniform resource locators, also spelling errors, layouts that are not normal. What else? The point is that a human might be able to detect when something is wrong and when not to click on something or when not to proceed, right? They don't have the same level of access. This is not real security. This is just completely, it's almost like a joke, really, because these companies obviously do not care about security. Okay, they may be targeted to certain employees. What else? Here's some case. Number one, phishing. Phishing. Email phishing? It's phonetically pronounced the same, spelled different. It's the same concept, only it's within your web browser. Here is an example right here. That's not a legitimate login right there. Now, it looks like it may be Salesforce, but it's not. That's a bogus website. And then if you dare enter your username and password and click login, well, somebody just obtained your credentials, and then you don't actually log in. You may log into a website, but it wouldn't be a legitimate Salesforce. Okay? What's another one? That was an example. Okay, I'm not going to go through in details each one, but they did exploiting. Okay. I'm not going to go over the technicalities of OAuth attack. That's a type of authentication system. Here's a quick example. Mozilla Thunderbird email uses OAuth, and actually Google Gmail. Let's say you want to access your Google Gmail not in a web browser and directly from the Gmail login through like a third-party software. Google requires OAuth. It's a type of authentication system. It's more complex. But I'm not going to go over the technical details. That is possible. So if these browser artificial agents will use this type of authentication, and it is susceptible to circumvention. All right? Yeah, it says right here, providing crooks or providing nefarious individuals with full access to the user's Google Drive. Yeah, see? You don't want that to happen, do you? Okay, so they go in more details about OAuth authentication. Did they have a third one? Okay. Yeah, here's some simplified ones. Purchasing groceries. Well, it may obtain the credit card details. Yeah. Collecting coupons. And then your credentials could get taken. Entering a form. Yeah. Something as basic as entering a form. Well, but that could be an intelligence gather. And that form may not be legitimate, and they're just trying to obtain data from you. Okay, now here is where I don't know enough about this company, so I don't really know. But my solution is not to use these at all. Don't use anything automated in a web browser, and don't certainly use these artificial intelligence agents until you have properly studied them. And you want to study the exact software that your employer or maybe you want to automate tasks, maybe you're self-employed like I am, and you want to start automating some tasks within a web browser, and you have this brilliant idea that you'll just use artificial intelligence. Well, that might not be brilliant. It may be a huge security risk. Now, they do have their own extension, which I haven't studied it, I haven't installed it, so I don't know. Now, this is where I never give out advice, I never guarantee anything, and I never recommend anything. If you check out their extension and it does not provide the security that they claim, that's not on me, that's on you. That's why I always give out disclaimers. But I'm not, also, since I do not know, I'm not telling you not to investigate this alleged extension. Here at the bottom, this is their more information about their extension. It claims that it will detect processes in your web browser, and it'll monitor, detect, and they claim mitigate, but I don't know if that's true or not. You know what I'm saying? Well, good luck. This is just another potential security hole that the capitalists gone wild and these companies that do not care about security, and now they're having their employees potentially opening up a big fat loop, security hole. You know what I'm saying? Good luck. Adios.